All right, let's try that one more time. Hey folks, Tony here, and we had another Tribes 3 playtest last night. It is actually currently still live as I am talking to you, but it is going to be coming to an end this day. They're just doing these shorter playtests at the moment. I have to admit, I'm genuinely looking forward to some longer windows so I can pull some of my friends who, put in for requests, and some of them even got access to this week's test, so we could get together and play some of the 12v12 stuff. But I spent the majority of my time this morning. I ended up playing about like 8 games, just playing 5v5. I really just wanted to, as much as I want to see the 12v12 map and play 12v12, I just like the core of this game so much, and that's where I've got a lot of room to grow and improve as a player, that the idea of 5v5 was actually really appealing. Less people trying to shoot projectiles that want to kill me at me, and more opportunities to maybe fall into the Kappa role. That's kind of what I went in with this morning, the mindset that I was going to play medium, but if the opportunity presented itself and we didn't have a capper on our team or anyone who was really going for it, I was gonna, try and flex a little bit, see if I couldn't, develop some skills here, bring my other movement-based experiences into this game and see if I could start to wrap my head around this game's movement system and start to go fast, far, and occasionally far too high. And I did. I feel like I improved substantially. I also made some absolutely brutal whiffs, man. This one wasn't the one I used in the intro. That one was bad too, but check this one out. Oh, yeah, that hurt. One of the things you come to learn, honestly, not unlike using slide hopping in Titanfall 2, for those of you who are familiar with it, is that when you're zooming, man, you really don't want to be pushing the W key if you're trying to move left or right. You want to be essentially ski strafing, air strafing, using just A and D. Letting off that W key is going to give you more left and right air control and ground control. And I maybe just, made too much use of that and totally whiffed what would have been an incredibly crispy cap that I think I easily would have. This wasn't really a particularly difficult game on the defense front for us. They didn't have a lot of heavies. In fact, I didn't see many heavies this morning at all. So I think I would have made a really good run on that, but whew, I whiffed it hard. I did get some other really good caps that I'll have up for you guys. You can kind of see where I'm improving. But yeah, this morning was a really big breakthrough for me in understanding kind of how the movement system works. I almost think right now I'm more at odds with reading the terrain. There are some really sort of hard to read drops on some of the maps, especially the snow map, where you look like you're going to drop it on a smooth slope, but it's actually like a double slope and it drops again. And so if you hit that top slope, you're going to like get a rough landing. You can still usually carry the speed, and I would say that the game is more forgiving than I originally anticipated when I first started playing it and really didn't understand at all how big skiing jumps worked. You can get away with like bouncing a lot and, just kind of carrying that momentum off of short lips, almost like you're hitting a whoops section on a motorcycle, or honestly even on skis or a snowboard. You can sort of carry the momentum across the top and skip and still manage to get some pretty gnarly speed that way. So once you start to understand that, reading the terrain definitely becomes a little bit easier. Seeing where you can get away with a less than ideal route to at least maintain the majority of your momentum starts to become more visible, more easy to acknowledge. And on that front, just skiing and movement in general in this game, I think, is more forgiving than I had, perceived. The sort of, thing I've built in my head and said, like, wow, this feels like maybe it's going to kind of be like chess, where these are like the dozen good routes, but that's really not the case. Like, I know people share routes and I know people optimize routes, but there's probably a lot to be said for freestyling, for just, adapting on the fly. And that's just kind of how I played the game. as much as I would love to go out and like watch the tutorials, I usually like to play a really good chunk of a game on my own and just try and learn. Like, you know, if I understand the basic mechanics, like understanding how the strafing and stuff and the basic controls of movement in this game work, then at that point I'm kind of like, okay, I could go watch tutorials and routing guides, but that's enough for me to just sit down and learn on my own, and that's where I get a lot of enjoyment from playing games. So personally for me, it was like, okay, let's just do this. And I had built up this really high hurdle in my head of like, oh, like none of this other stuff's going to be useful. But that's just not true. You can really just drop in and you can just route in the air and make use of modulating your speed and using your jetpack to just spot that next landing. And the game can be very forgiving. I'm not saying that I'm developing perfectly optimal, the fastest routes ever, but they're functioning routes. I'm going relatively quickly, and I'm finally starting to get in a position where I'm figuring out how to make those like more difficult turns and resets, especially when I get off course or I make a rough landing. And yeah, it's just a really satisfying experience, all in all. At the end of the day, I think that's what we should all look for out of a new game. Something new to learn is that while we're learning, we're having fun. You know, those little tiny bits of progress are like big explosions of joy. And that's how I feel playing Tribes 3 right now. It gets increasingly more difficult to say goodbye to this game, it seems, with each and every playtest. And I know this is only the second one, but man, I do not want to say goodbye this time around. I would love to just be able to sit down and play this game on the weekends and have this be my weekend FPS and drag all my friends into it and scream "let's go" at my monitor every time we get a spicy cap. So I think that says something about this game. But man, Prophecy, I just think you folks are doing a great job over there. It's been awesome to hang out in the Discord. There's a lot of cool folks making tutorials, videos, compilations, montages. I think that's my favorite thing about this game, actually, community-wise, is that montages are still like a thing. I don't really know where like the youths are at these days with the games they're playing. Like, is there just a shitload of Fortnite montages on the internet? I don't know if that's a thing. But as far as the first-person shooters I've played over the last few years, montages are like, they happen. They're few and far between, though. Whereas the Tribes community is like full send. It's still 2000. We doing montages every day to some sick electronic music, and I adore that. So don't stop being you, Tribes community. It's cool. It's wholesome. I fucking love it. Especially when people are putting together community montages and you get to see a bunch of different names, and then you hop into the playtest and you got this nice, you know, smaller community. You see these people. You recognize them, you get to zoom alongside them for a few minutes, and that's a fun feeling. That's the kind of like experience I want to have as a new player. You love to see it. So that's gonna do it for me this week, folks. I look forward to another Tribes playtest. They're actually using the playtesting feature directly through Steam now, so if you're interested in this, I'll have a link to the Steam page down below. When you see that request access button on the store page, that means you can click that and have a chance to get into future playtests. Keep an eye out for more Tribes goodness coming your way. I'm definitely excited to play more of this game and bring you more videos. It's just a fucking good time. Other than that, take care of yourselves out there. I'll see you all in the next one.